So if you're a business owner or service provider that is trying to get in front of more people, you might want to stick around to listen to what I might have to say about that. Hey guys, it's Erica Castner. Sorry that I've got this weird glare here. I'm going to try to move. I don't really want to move. I'm just going to try to talk through it. So if it's a little distracting, just listen to me, okay? Okay, so one of the things that actually there's two ways that we can get in front of more people. We can do it ourselves, meaning that we pound the pavement. Hey Leslie, how are you this morning? We pound the pavement ourselves. We go out there and we're actually knocking on doors. We're going to networking events. We're maybe having coffee dates or interacting with people one-on-one, right? Or like in a group setting, but still one-on-one in those conversations. Or the other way is that we're reaching out to the masses, meaning that we're traditionally, like in the past, it's always been television ads, billboard ads, magazine ads, newspaper ads. Today, because of social media and the globe is actually getting smaller, there's Facebook, there's podcasting, there's all sorts of really cool ways for you to get in front of the masses, if you will, right? So as a business owner or a service provider, just somebody that's trying to get your brand in front of more people, what I want to challenge you to think about is, because time is so valuable, so precious, right? And the word on the street, especially a lot of people that I've been interacting here with lately, hey Nan, how are you? A lot of people that I've been interacting with lately are like, how do I get in front of more people? Like, how do I get in, and not only more people, but how do I get in front of new people? Because especially if you're going to a ton of networking events, I had this conversation yesterday with somebody. She was like, I'm in the luxury of, I have other markets that are kind of close to me, so I can hop on the interstate and get to another metropolitan area pretty quickly, because my area, my neck of the woods, every time I go to an event, I see the same people. Okay, well, she doesn't, but you know what I mean. I mean, it feels like that, right? Because if you circle some of the same events that other people are, it can start feeling like, gee, is there anybody new out here? Is there anybody that I can connect with that I don't know already? So, since this video is talking about how to find new people, one of the ways that I've been able to do just that is reaching out in the podcasting space. Now, if you're not familiar with podcasting is iTunes, I don't want to say iTunes started it. Maybe they did. I don't know. I don't really know the history of who started what. But iTunes made it super popular. And of course, there's other streams that actually have what's called a podcast. I'm not going to go into the definition of podcast. If you don't know what it is, look it up. But what's really freaking intriguing is it is a medium that people, especially subject matter experts, can use to position their brand, their expertise in front of new audiences. Now, if you don't have a podcast, that's totally cool, because I got to be honest with you, putting together a podcast is a big undertaking. I know I had 2 of them at one point. I'm actually getting ready to go back into the fire with doing a 3rd one later this year. But that's not a commercial for the upcoming podcast, by the way. But you, as somebody that is trying to get your brand and your message in front of new people, one of the things that you can do is, hi Sayed, how are you? And I hope I'm saying that right. Hey James, how are you? Lovely to see you, my friend. Well, see you. One of the things that you can do that is you can actually start going through, and I'm going to back up here for just a quick second. I would be thinking about, okay, if I want to get in front of new people, let's assume for a moment that you already know who your target market is, right? So you already know that. And let's assume that on a deeper level, you know who is in a position to refer you. Thank you. Thank you, James, for that. I really appreciate that. So let's assume that you know those two things, right? You know your target market and you know who's in a position to like maybe refer you business, okay? So it's an indirect way to your client. And I'm going to talk more about that. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, if you're like, what the hell is she talking about there? I'm going to be going a lot deeper on that tomorrow for my training. And again, I'm not talking about that today per se, but I will throw the link into, I won't throw it, I'll actually place it gently into this comment section of this feed. But I digress. Let me get back onto the topic that I was chatting about. So podcasting, assuming you know who your target market is and assuming you know who is referring you, who could potentially refer you, podcasting is a really lovely medium. Now, here's what I want you to be thinking about today. If you're thinking, gosh, it would be fantastic if I could go talk about my area of expertise on a podcast it's like, think of it like a radio show, right? And I'm being interviewed and I'm being asked questions from this host of this podcast who's getting me to open up and share my value points, my tips, my resources. And then here's the really cool part about this. At the end of the show, this podcast host is going to tell his audience or her audience, depending on who has the show, where to go to find me. Now, would that be kind of cool or what, right? So if you're in a situation where you want more of those opportunities, the easiest way that you could do this, I actually mentioned this in other videos before, but there's a gentleman by the name of Andrew Elliman. He puts together a weekly podcast list. It is actually the list, it's an email list, so you can get on his email list for free. You don't have to pay to be on this email list, right? However, how you do pay is if, like, let's say you want to get more guest opportunities, right? And you want to be featured. You want like a spotlight on your lovely face. That would be like inside that newsletter, there's like 6 people. And I don't get paid for this. Like, I don't get paid for promoting this guy. I just think it's a really, really cool tool. And I think you all should know about it. You actually get to be featured. If you want, you can like reach out to Andrew and say, hey, I want to be an expert on your list. And so that could be a really cool way for you to get featured. Or if you have a podcast, like, so I'm not really talking to podcast hosts today. I'm really talking to people who want to be guests on podcasts. But if you happen to have a show or you're thinking about having a show and you want to get really cool guests on your show, then there's a place where you can do that on this list as well too. So my point to you all today is this. Do a little bit of like, get on this list, number one. Number two, if you, like, this list is kind of a hodgepodge. Like, I know a lot of people that follow me are business professionals, and sometimes the podcast list that you would get on Andrew's list is going to have things like, hey, if you're a Disney freak or a Star Wars freak or you love tattoos, like, it's got to be random stuff like that. It's not all going to be business related. However, it is going to give you a hit list of people that, in a nice hit list way, it's going to give you a list of people that you could at least approach that are open to talking to potentially guests like you. So that's the easy way to do it. The the other way to get, you got to put a little more elbow grease behind this opportunity, but the other way to do it would simply be to go to iTunes, okay? Like, to literally go to iTunes from your desktop. I think it's a little more challenging to do it from your phone, especially if you have an Android. But if you go to your desktop and go to your iTunes account and then click through to find podcast, you can actually, podcasts are categorized by business, by teaching, by art, by like any subject you can think of. They're all categorized that way on iTunes. Now, the business segment is actually a little more generalized. Of course, there are some sub-segments in there, but like, I know James, if you're still on here, love, you're in the technology space, right? So you could like Google inside of iTunes, not Google, that doesn't make any sense. Wow, talk about like actually putting like, what is that, what they call, like, how like people will say, if I, instead of having a tissue, like, just give me a Kleenex, like, it's that brand recognition, right? I digress. So in the search tool on, thank you, James, on this search tool in iTunes, that's probably the better way to say that, right? Search, thank you so much. Search technology podcast, or just the word technology. Search IT. That could be another way. Like, you can mess around with some of the keywords, but put those in there, and it will actually help you find podcasts that are talking about your subject. Okay. So, Leslie, if she's still on here, I know that she loves her wine. She talks about her wine and how, she's educating people on wine, and how her wine, gives people, oh, thanks, Nan. So all those things, right? Wine related podcasts. I mean, maybe she gets on a show, and this is kind of an indirect way, but maybe she gets on a show, for, I don't know, we're working women who want to dish over wine. I don't know. I'm making that up as I go. But take your industry, take your keywords, go into iTunes, search some of the shows out, you don't have to create a super fancy dancy, like client management, not client management, but like, you don't have to create a fancy way to capture all of this. Like, a simple spreadsheet would do the trick. So if you find podcasts that work on the page of iTunes, by the way, and it's kind of hidden. I wish I had an ability to show you like my computer screen today. Maybe I'll do that on a different training in the very near future. But maybe I'll do that. So if you could look at your screen, if you could imagine like looking at your screen once you're in iTunes, off to the side, like, so if you're looking at the screen and like off to the right hand side of the screen, left hand side of the screen, how much coffee I've had this morning, left hand side of the screen is going to say like podcast host website or something along those lines. So that, my friends, you can actually go click on their website, and ta-da, you're going to see a little more detail about, maybe they have like a guest submission form on there. Maybe they have a little more contact information about, like how they like to partner with people. So dig around there. Like I said, that model is going to give you a little more, it's going to require you to have a little more elbow grease behind that, but make sure that you're taking the time to, either hop onto Andrew's list, Andrew Elliman. I'll try to find the link and I'll gently place it into the comment section here. Some of you have actually gotten that link before, so just if you're not on that list, get on that list. And like I said, the other piece of this is just go straight to iTunes, search your industry, your subject, your keywords, and find other relatable shows that can actually connect you with new people, new audiences. I've been invited on just about 50 podcasts, probably a little more than that now, since I've done some shows recently that haven't been released. And it's been a cool way for me to open up my market and service people in New Zealand, service people in Australia, service people in Canada, talk to people in the UK. Like, I would not have been able to do that if I just focused on my little networking events here in my local market. That's all important, but if you're wanting to get into different spheres of influences and meet new people, let's try some podcasting on for size, okay? So you guys rock. Thank you so much. Oh, final thing, really quick. If you are not signed up for my training yet, I am doing a free live training tomorrow. If you're watching this today, it's April 4th. The training is April 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is called Get in Front of Your Ideal Clients Faster. I will also put that link in here at some point, but I do have to run into my next thing. So if somebody wants to be a lamb chop and like maybe swipe that from another, I did just recently post the training in this Facebook page here. So if somebody wants to be a lamb and just copy and paste that and put that into the comment section so I can get to bouncing and get into my meeting, I would greatly appreciate that. If not, just be patient. I promise I will put it in the comment section here shortly. But get signed up for it. It's a training call tomorrow. We're going to have about an hour or so to rock and roll, to get in front of more of your ideal clients and go a little deeper. I'm not even going to be talking about the podcasting thing. That was just a tip that I wanted to share with you all today. But we're going to be talking about some really phenomenal ways for you to position yourself in front of more of your ideal clients and get you the results that you want for your biz. So you guys rock. Thank you so much. Until next time, y'all take care. Bye.